Joan, somebody has sent this into the super text line about a Wilson County schools.
Yeah, so I saw that.
Are going to walk out on February 3rd. That'd be like tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
It's an ICE walkout.
Yeah. I tried to find it on their Facebook page, and I can't find it. Maybe they took it down. Maybe I'm not looking in the right place. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I did go to their Facebook page and looked, and I don't see it. But what I did like was that in that post, they've got consequences for the students if they walk out. So they're not going to walk out willy-nilly. They're going to get dinged for it.
Grades 6 through 12, consequences. Now, there was a walkout. Was it Williamson County a few days ago?
Brentwood High School.
Brentwood High School.
Yes, yeah.
And local media, and I'm shooting from the hip on this, but local media tried to make it seem like there was like this massive walkout. But it was, relatively speaking, a small fraction of the overall student body. So that's one thing. But the kids that did walk out, find out for me, Sam, did they face any consequences? So in Wilson County, grades 6 through 12, because guess what? Riker's in 6th grade. And so if this is true, we'll be having a conversation with the youngling. But in-school conference with student. These are the consequences if they decide to walk out in Wilson County. Detention or other extended school time options, parent and guardian conference, and an in-school suspension 1 to 5 days. And so the flyer, it does say ICE walkout Friday, Wilson County schools and show out after third period, 1:25 p.m. Bring flags and posters. Location, Lebanon Road near Publix and Kroger. I know exactly where that is. That's like right down the road from my house. So anyway, show your support for our immigrant neighbors, they say. Stand up and be the voice for people who can't. Help show that Wilson County doesn't tolerate ICE and its violence. You know what's so funny? Wilson County, and specifically, folks in Mount Juliet, we absolutely love ICE. I'm part of that community. We absolutely love that we have cameras that are all over Mount Juliet so that we can read the license plates of these convicts that come in from Nashville so that we can pull their ass over and arrest them. We are in Mount Juliet, I can tell you, at least where I live, very much of a law-abiding community. So whatever to the ICE walkout. It'll be interesting to see. So what do you do? Like, again, Riker's in 6th grade, and he is in Wilson County schools. So then do you say, okay, well, then what we're going to do is do you talk to your kids? That's what you've got to do. Talk to your kids, and you make sure that they understand not only will there be consequences if you decide that you're going to walk out from the school, but you'll also have some consequences at home.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything about Brentwood High School having anything to do. If anything happened, it was internal. But we do know that the Williamson County School Board is extremely woke. And so they're probably not trying to overly enforce anything for the 125 students that did walk out in Brentwood. But I would be interested to see the repercussions of Wilson County students, knowing the culture difference.
Yeah, very much so. Let's see here. How many? All right, I'm getting hit up on the super text line today. All mostly positive, except for 5028. But one guy, Mario, says, "Hey Dan, get Riker a pro ICE T-shirt to wear during the walkout."
There you go.
You know what? Buy him like an icy. Remember the ices? Buy him an icy shirt. So he's not directly making a political statement, but. I would. By the way, I would never involve Riker in my.
It reminds me
show.
of my studies when you actually focus in on the Third Reich coming to power in Germany, how they infiltrated the schools, and they had students pretty much made it seem like it wasn't voluntary to go to these rallies and these meetings and be part of the Hitler Youth. So
right.
it's parallel, very similar in my mind.
Let's see here. Some are saying Williamson County School Board is not extremely woke. Interesting. All right. Now I'm getting hit up on my personal phone by like 3 or 4 different text messages from people, and I have no idea. I used to think the Williamson County School Board was woke. It used to be.
Didn't that have a whole argument over some of the books in the library, like
I thought we did.
Boys Blue or something?
Whatever. That's not where I want to go with this segment. Anyway, moving right along. Let's see here. We're going to talk about Pam Bondi. So Pam Bondi was on Capitol Hill yesterday defending herself against accusations that she is siding with pedophiles in the Jeffrey Epstein case. One of the more epic battles was between Jerry Nadler, High Pants Jerry, who they woke him up enough so that he could have this back and forth with Pam Bondi. Listen.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer the
theatrics are
question the
ridiculous.
way I asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs.
I think it's very interesting.
Reclaiming my time.
I think it's very interesting.
You can
that
reclaim
he
your
talks
time.
about they
Reclaiming my time,
indicted.
Mr.
The
Chairman.
president said they indicted him twice.
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock and restore his time.
Okay, here we go with these theatrics.
So, I mean, that's pretty much how it went. And you know what? I have not seen Jerry Nadler that, excited or awake in a long time. Nebbish Jerry. So, you know how this goes, right? This is something that politicians do. It has been going on for a long time, which is why, generally speaking, I don't even bother to really cover much of these things in depth. But this was about the Jeffrey Epstein case, which is something that everybody has an agreement on, or a disagreement on, I should say. By the way, take the Daily Dan poll. How did you feel Pam Bondi did yesterday in her testimony? But Nadler goes on and on with his speech, and then Bondi wants to answer with, her own story, her own narrative. You can call it spin if you want. But the question is a legit one, whether we're talking about, the Attorney General's office under Pam Bondi or under Merrick Garland and the the Biden administration and so forth. How many Epstein associates has her Department of Justice indicted? And as of now, no one. But this is where I stand up for Pam Bondi and I say, listen, she walked into, the Attorney General's office and she inherits all of this mess. She also said that there are investigations that are pending. You can't walk into your office as the Attorney General day one and just start indicting people. Now, the problem, and I've said this multiple times, so forgive me, but one of the problems is that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Bongino, they set the bar high. They set the bar really high. And so they spent all that time on Sean Hannity's show and talk radio and so forth saying that they were going to go in and start indicting people. And, well, they haven't. But I'm giving her some grace here because you can't just walk right in there and start indicting people without looking at all of the information. Joe Biden, Donald Trump has done 50 times what the Biden administration did on this issue. Same with Obama. So remember, she walks into the Department of Justice. You have all of these documents that they need to go through, millions, because they just released 3 million. So you've got all of these documents that came, and they were already redacted. We talked about this the other day. All these documents were redacted that came in from the FBI. So you have all of this information that has been redacted, not at the DOJ, but at the FBI. You had a bunch of documents that were hidden as well. So they had to go find the documents, too. You had documents that, who knows what was truthful and what wasn't? Who knows what was credible and what wasn't? So it is a legit question to ask, how many people has your office indicted? But it is also a legit question to say, well, what about Joe Biden? What about Barack Obama? And sure, what about Donald Trump in the first administration? This has been an ongoing issue. But then Jamie Raskin, of course, Democrat, comes in and jumps to the aid of Jerry Nadler. I've got that audio for you next. This, by the way, part of Joan Jones and her favorite moment from the testimony of Pam Bondi yesterday on Capitol Hill. Real quickly, Sam, can you look up for me so far the Daily Dan poll on YouTube? Watch us on Facebook. My preference is YouTube, X, 997WTN.com, Rumble, and all that. So but we have a poll on YouTube. Grade Pam Bondi's appearance in front of I think it was the House Judiciary Committee. I think that's what it was yesterday.
Yeah, if it's Jim Jordan, then yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy in charge. So what are people saying?
So we only get 4 options of answers, but she definitely didn't fail. So I left F off of the grade sheet. A, B, C, D, 35% saying A, 24% saying B, 24% saying C, and 18% saying D.
So there's definitely people that were not impressed. And that's what I've noticed too.
Yeah.
Within our audience, and our audience is very conservative, but even amongst the most conservative of us, I can tell you that there are people that feel like not enough has been done to go after and indict the perpetrators. So that being said, Pam Bondi versus Jamie Raskin, who had jumped to the aid of High Pants Jerry Nadler.
We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when you ask a question, the witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she gets to answer.
The question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like the answer, Chairman.
My time.
Because it's honest. So he asked a 4-minute question.
Restore 45 seconds, Mr. Nadler, please, Mr. Chairman.
Answer.
You can...
And see, here's what's going on. And Joan, you watched this just like I did, some of it anyway, where, these guys, they come in with their 4-minute monologue, and then they'll have a, 25-second question, and they expect the witness, in this case Pam Bondi, to just, acquiesce to their demands and come up with a little 15-second answer as they've been monologuing and throwing all of these darn accusations against the Trump administration and Pam Bondi.
I heard that.
No, you didn't. Heard of what? Anyway, here's more.
They also
go ahead.
They also do it's a yes or no answer, and that's all I require.
It's not a yes or no.
I know.
It is not a yes or no. And again, Republicans do this too. But for Jerry Nadler, this whole thing was just pathetic. And I thought Nadler looked particularly bad, as did Jamie Raskin. By the way, Raskin, as much as I don't like Jerry Nadler, I think Raskin is just a snake. He's not even a snake in the grass. He's just a snake.
Filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
I love that last part. Loser lawyer, you're not even a lawyer.
Which goes to the fact that he's even in the Senate and he's not a lawyer. I mean, there are some people who are not, but for the most part, it's supposed to be the upper chamber, people who are of some note, some quality.
Right.
But we have him in there instead.
Did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Washed up, loser lawyer, you're not even a lawyer. As I said, she was not going to suffer fools yesterday. And I do like the fact that she stood up for herself. I do like the fact that she stood up for the Trump administration. We do need to see action on Epstein. We do need to see indictments. I think that right now the bottom line is that they're going through all of these documents. There is another moment where Pam Bondi was asked if she would apologize to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Clearly, that was not going to happen.
The president saying they indicted me twice. They sure did. They tried to impeach him twice. And you, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it.
Yep. So she was pretty much, again, ready for battle when she arrived. She also, by the way, spoke about how this has been going on for years, the Epstein case spanning Obama, Donald Trump's first term, of course, Joe Biden as well, and here in Donald Trump's second term. The question is, does she ultimately have a reason to apologize? Now, I'm going to call balls and strikes on this because I do think that Pam Bondi and the Trump administration there have been times when they have not been great on this issue. And as I've said this so many times, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, they all came in talking big about Epstein, and they failed miserably on this issue. Bondi saying the files were on her desk. They released a bunch of files to influencers. Most, if not all, was heavily redacted or old news. We do still have some redactions that have been happening, which by the legislation that was passed, there were to be no redactions. Remember, the legislation was passed, and they had a certain date that and I forget what the date was, but they missed the deadline, and there were redactions. But as I've mentioned a couple of different times now, that some of those redactions, maybe a lot of those redactions, were actually done at the FBI level. And so the FBI gave redacted documents to Pam Bondi and her Department of Justice. So there's a lot to this. It's not just, well, the documents were redacted by the DOJ. Well, no, a lot of these, even at the grand jury level, some of these documents have been redacted as well. So you can't hang that just on Pam Bondi. You can't even hang that on, the FBI under Kash Patel. The question is, where are the unredacted documents? So a couple of things can be true. There's a lot of theatrics here. Both sides do it. Always happens. It gets a little boring. But here's where they get into the nitty-gritty of Pam Bondi owing the victims an apology. I'm going to get to that coming up here. JT says that he scored Pam Bondi a C because he says he felt like Pam Bondi is all about getting her face on TV. If she would just stay calm and just keep reiterating that their party, the Democrats, had plenty of time, she would have scored an A. You can call the other side an idiot civilly, he says. Ask the British Parliament. Hear, hear. So that's what JT says. The super text line is all over the place on whether or not Pam Bondi did a good job or not. By the way, real quickly, Joan, I don't know if you saw this, but this was on CNN as breaking news. And I thought this was interesting. There's a report now, breaking news, that the police in Tucson have asked Nancy Guthrie's neighbors for video from their own video cameras from January 11th and January 31st.
January 11th and January 31st.
Now, here's what I don't get, and then I'll get back to the Pam Bondi stuff.
Okay.
But she disappeared on the night of January 31st, right?
Yes.
So how is it they're just now asking for that video? I mean, we went through, I don't want to do a deep dive on this today, but we did a deep dive yesterday on this about the miscues of the police there in Tucson in investigating the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. So on January 31st, I mean, you would have thought that one of the first things that they would do is ask for the video from the neighbors, as part of the opening blush of the investigation. Now, I don't know what was happening on January 11th and why that particular day would be a day of interest, a day of interest for the investigation. Maybe something was delivered to her house. Maybe that's why they want to see that. I don't know. But the January 31st thing, that just kind of boggles me. It's like, how have you not asked for that before?
Yeah, and it took them several days. Now, there was a camera on top of her house, apparently.
Yep.
And it took a few days for them to take that camera off the roof. And we haven't seen it. Now, we don't have to know everything. I get it.
Right.
But there's been nothing that's been said about, they could see cars going up and down the street, presumably, with a camera on the roof.
Yeah. And I don't understand some of the things that have happened, including the lack of air support for the search and the first hours of the investigation. Some of this stuff just is mind-boggling to me that they failed on. And I do understand this is Tucson, Arizona. We're not talking about a large metropolis, if you will. But I mean, I'm a knucklehead, and I I can tell when mistakes are made, and I can tell that, what's the first thing that you do? I mean, I've watched, so many things on TV, investigations into murders and so forth. And, one of the first things they do is get the air support up or get some drones up or something. And they've said this is a very inexperienced police force, and these detectives that are looking into this, they don't have a lot of experience. And you were talking yesterday about how it took them a long time to even ask for help from the FBI. So we finally got the video out. They had to, really scrape to get the video put together. The guy in the mask on the porch going in. And so we had that story the last couple of days. Now they found a couple of gloves out in the area of this of where her house was, I guess. Mm-hmm. So now they're hoping to get some DNA off of that. So
I also heard yesterday or overnight, I guess, that the FBI is now using part of the Border Patrol's, and I'm not sure what they were saying, either tech, CBP tech, or I'm not sure what exactly the name of the group is, but these guys are trained on scouring that type, like desert type ground.
Right.
And he said it was Paul Morrow from Fox News who was talking about it. He said, I'm a guy from the city. I wouldn't know how to scour a desert around all, that type of terrain. He said, and people from there wouldn't know what to do in a big city like New York City. So these guys are specifically trained to go out because there's all that scrub. And that's like you and I have grass, in our yards. They have scrub. And searching those things is a very specified trait that has to be taught. And these guys are out there now, finally on the ground, doing those kind of searches.
Do we know how close it was to the house? The gloves?
The glove. It was actually on a street. So on, I think, her street, leading into the neighborhood. Again,
you didn't scan the area?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So another thing about that is that that type of scrub, and with a lot of cactus and those types of plants, a lot of the gardeners, and she lived in $1 million home, so it was an area that would have gardeners. A lot of those gardeners use thick gloves so that they don't ruin their hands while they're doing their work. So this, it may or may not be an actual clue. They have to get the DNA first if they can. So, It's kind of an iffy thing. I feel like we're holding on to every single clue now because something's got to turn up.
1778 says this, and I understand why 1778 feels like this. The thing that really bothers me about this is how much attention it is getting on the news. If any one of us were abducted and held for ransom, it wouldn't even get a tenth of the resources involved that this one is getting in this case, and so on and so forth. Here's why I think this is going on, why there's such media attention. It's because everybody knows who Savannah Guthrie is, right? And there's a lot of people.
Not everybody does, but go ahead.
Okay. A lot of people know who Savannah Guthrie is. And so this has a very TMZ feel to it, right?
Yeah.
And so if you know who Savannah Guthrie is, and if you know who she is, odds are you like her, right? She's a very likable person. I don't know if I've ever even seen her on television, but whatever. I know who she is. And so the reason why this is getting so much media coverage is because people are interested in it because they know Savannah Guthrie. Most people who get abducted, you don't necessarily know who they are.
Yeah.
But, and that's just, it's all about clicks and views. That's the bottom line. And people, like it or not, people are interested in this. And we can argue that they shouldn't be interested in it, but I mean, there's a lot of people that are interested in it. Some people aren't, but I can guarantee you that if you go to, the most Googled things in the last couple of days, or, what are people clicking on social media? It has to do with Nancy Guthrie's abduction, because that's what people are interested in, because it has all the things, right? It's got celebrity, it's got ransom, it's got an element of Keystone Cops as well. So there's a reason why people are interested in it. Whether or not that, says terrible things about our society is up to you to. But I get why people would say that.
We didn't know who John Benet Ramsey was or her parents before she was kidnapped.
That's true.
And, we were all hanging on to every moment of that story.
Right, exactly. All right,
Elizabeth Smart, all those abductions. But it's the nature of it that's, and I think it does say a lot about us that we're also interested.
Here. You want to know one of my favorites of the day? Then I'm going to get back to the Pam Bondi thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, they're doing a good job of distracting you from how Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million, for example. Dude, 75-70, I've done that segment at least 4 times when it was, all over the headlines. The thing is, and this is the challenge of doing a show like this, is that I don't get to all the news that I want to get to every single day. But I've covered that multiple times, and I will tell you that if it is, in the news, top of the news tomorrow, I'll be covering it then as well. So
I would love an update on the apple cider terrorist.
The apple cider terrorist
We're
as
not
well.
getting one because it was an inside job.
All right, moving right along. Pam Bondi. So does she owe the victims of the Epstein situation an apology? This was a big part of what happened yesterday. By the way, Pam Bondi getting absolutely crucified on the super text line. But this is how the whole thing went down. Democrats, it is their contention that because when that massive trove of files were released, the 3 million or so files were released, there were some pages that were redacted and some say should not have been, and other things that should have been redacted, like pages that identified victims and in some cases nude photos of victims as well. So this was part of that conversation.
Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
that's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the
my
answer.
time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this twice?
I am reclaiming my
sat in
time,
my chair?
and when I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady's
I'm
reclaimed her
not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say this.
I'll direct it to
what
you.
a massive cover-up.
No, I'm answering a question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is
I'm not
interrupted.
going to get in the gutter with this woman.
And so it goes on. And that's what this whole thing, as far as the apology goes, there were definitely some mistakes made. This was clearly, though, a gotcha moment for Pramila Jayapal. Merrick Garland was in the same exact spot. This is one of the things that Pam Bondi said, and they did not probe or attack him in the way that they've been going after Pam Bondi. So, no good deed goes unpunished, right? So she ultimately is under the gun to release 3 million documents related to Epstein. The demands of this release were legislative. Remember that, Donald Trump signed into law and Congress passed that piece of legislation that said that they had to release all of the Epstein files unredacted and so forth. And she had just a month or so, month and a half or whatever it was to get it done. And so she did the best that she could. Unfortunately, there was indeed some stuff that should have been redacted that wasn't. The bottom line on this whole thing, Joan, let me ask you this question. Do you feel like we learned anything new from yesterday?
No, not a thing.
We didn't learn anything new.
But it's not what they're designed for,
No, it's designed to, number one, get people on the record. But number two, it's designed for everyone to score their political points. They're going to try to make their points. They're going to try to attack the other side as well. So all over social media, you have folks that are saying, Pam Bondi ruled the libs, and you've got the libs saying that the libs, own Pam Bondi. At the end of the day, we have 3 million documents that have been released, and Donald Trump's administration has released, I believe, the most documents that any administration has. And unfortunately, some mistakes were made. they're doing the best that they can. She, in her opening statement, said that they had, I think, like 500 attorneys combing through all of these documents. You've got to realize, and I'm not sticking up for Pam Bondi, but just the sheer massive amount of documents that they had to go over. And unfortunately, yes, stuff was missed. Bottom line, though, this was all about theatrics. And I don't really know if we learned. You know what, Super Texters, did you learn anything new from watching what you saw yesterday? If you watched it or if you just watched the clips.